Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. I just wanted to share with you how I set up my grade book a year in advance. So pretty much what that means is once grade speed, which is the name of our system, the grading system that we use for our district, once it's open and set up and I have all of my classes, which are up here on this little drop down menu here, once all of my students are put into each of my individual classes, then it's available for me to start putting in my assignments, okay? And what I used to do when I first started was do this a day at a time, a week at a time. When the deadline for the grades was up, it just was really hard for me to keep up with it because I had so much to do and it was just very stressful for me. So I now learned that if I just take some time at the beginning of the school year, and usually it takes me about an hour to do all this or less, depends on if I'm watching a movie or something while I do this. But if I take that hour ahead of time, then I'm set for the rest of the school year. All right, so I'm recording with my phone on the screen, so if it flickers, I apologize. Because of the hurricane, I'm still not in my room, I'm still on my dining table, so if it's shaky or the lighting is bad, I apologize for that as well. Here I'm just covering the student information behind this paper here, and I don't know how to do like the record the screen and voiceover thing, so this video is just gonna have to do for now until I learn how to do that. Alright, so let's get started. I do have some markings on some of the stuff that I need to do some editing on, but this is the Introduction to Cosmetology lesson outline for my school year. I've done a video on that, so I take this and through my weeks, so we have 37 weeks for our school year, and so this is the first 6 weeks. Okay, so for the first week, we don't have a chapter. It's just orientation. For the second week, I'm working on chapter 5, then chapter 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's what I'm covering the first 6 weeks. I already know that this is what I'm going to be doing during those 6 weeks. So I know that I'm going to take grades on these chapters, and I go by chapters. Okay, so what I do is when we went on to credit conversion with TDLR, we did 3 grades a week. Okay, so 1 grade was theory, then it was lab, and it was test. And you had to have a 70 or above, or 75 or above on all of them, so you can get your credit for your hours. Okay, I believe that's how we did it. It's been a couple years, but I believe that was it. So it was a lot of paperwork. It just didn't work out. We went back to clock hours, which is way easier, less paperwork, but a lot easier. So we went ahead and I went ahead and just kept that same layout: theory, lab, test. So every week I collect 3 grades. For chapter 5, I'm going to collect a theory, lab, and test grade for that. Chapter 2, 3, 4, all the way down every week. Okay. There are weeks that I do change things if we have testing for STAR, or if we have presentations or field trips or projects or whatever the case may be. So I do this knowing and being okay with there's going to be changes. For example, I've already done this, and this week for chapter 5, we were supposed to start on, well, we're out for the Hurricane Harvey deal, the flooding in Houston. So I know this is not going to happen, so I need to make and rearrange for this. Okay, so just know that you can plan and lay it out, it's done, but just know that when changes need to be made, it's okay. You can make those changes. It's a lot easier to change 1 or 2 things instead of having to do all of it when, as you're going along. Alright, so this is how I'll link the video of how I do this. Okay, so that's how I lay it out. That's what I do first. I have my theory, my lab, and my test grade. Alright, so up here I have my categories. Alright, so my categories are checks for understanding, which is my theory. My theory would be homework, vocabulary, textbook questions, whenever I'm up in front of the classroom lecturing, okay? Which I don't lecture much, but just delivering the information. Then I have my lab, which is a formative assessment. So this would be small projects, lab time, hands-on, activities, lessons, things like that in the classroom. And then we have summative. A summative grade is our tests, any kind of tests of any kind is under summative. So then we have here 3 colors that you get to choose whatever color you like. You put your weight and percentages. Mine were a little different last year, and then I had to make sure we were the same with the rest of my other 2 co-teachers for our grades in cosmetology. All right, so that totals up to 100 and we're good to go. All right, up here we have our assignments. And in our assignments, and this is, let me go ahead and click on Introduction to Cosmetology. So here, our assignments, the first week of school was August 25th, 21 through 25th was orientation, okay? And then we have a professionalism grade, which is for the whole 6 weeks, okay? Everybody starts with 100, and then as you go, if you know, have a phone out when you're not supposed to, you come in late, you out of dress, whatever the infraction is, then you deduct from that, and it's each 6 weeks for your professionalism grade. And then here we have our 3 grades that I take per week. So the week of August 28th to September 1st, I take here's my theory, here's my lab, and here's my test, okay? For the next week, which is chapter 2, okay, I have here 3 grades, right here. From September 5th to September 8th, I have my theory, my lab, and my test. If it were, I'm a little OCD, so if I had the option, I do put it in order, but the computer just puts it in random order. For me, it would be theory, lab, test, but for some reason it's test, theory, lab. It really doesn't matter, it still comes up. So I go ahead and put that all in for the first 6 weeks. So, and I need to cover this up because the students' names are gonna pop up. Let me scroll this over to the side a little bit. Okay. So here, what I have for the first 6 weeks, so up here is a little cycle, little drop-down menu. You can choose what 6 weeks you're going to be working in here. Okay, so I'm on the first 6 weeks. Here is orientation, chapter 5 theory lab test. This is chapter 5 theory lab test. Okay, chapter 2, the 3rd week of school, is going to be chapter 2 theory, chapter 2 lab, chapter 2 test. Chapter 3, which is the next one, theory, lab, test, chapter 4, and so forth and so on, okay? So that's what I do for the first 6 weeks. So then for the second 6 weeks, I already know what I'm teaching, okay? So right here, I can go ahead and I know I'm gonna be doing chapter 15, week 1, 15, week 2. No chapter for week 8, okay? Because we're doing stage makeup. That's like a fun free week. Week 9, we're doing chapter 11 and 15. And then chapter 10, 15, week 10, 15, and week 11, chapter 25, okay? So, if I already know that I'm doing that, I'm gonna come up here to this little square, I'm gonna pick my next cycle, and so this is the second 6 weeks, and again, our district goes within 6 weeks. Here, I already have all of my chapters. Oh wait, this is principles. Let's go to Introduction to Cosmetology. So here we have Chapter 15, week 1. Chapter 15, week 2. Stage makeup, that was the fun week, chapter 8 where there's no chapter. Okay, then we have the stage makeup. I still take a stage makeup theory, lab, and test grade. 3 grades per week. I can always, the minimum requirement is that we have 2. 1 checks for understanding and 1 either formative or summative. But I always do 3. It always gives me the opportunity that, okay, if I don't have time to do the lab or if I don't have time to do the theory or the test, then I can remove 1. It gives me wiggle room, okay? But I'm still in compliance by submitting 12 grades at the end of the 6 weeks. Okay, so as I continue, and let me go ahead and scroll down. As I continue, I already have my grade book set up, okay? If I go back over here to this little square here, and I go all the way down to the 6 weeks, okay? And I select my 5th period, which is Introduction to Cosmetology. Here, I already have what I have down here in the 6 weeks, Okay, I know the chapters I'm teaching. I already have my grade book set up, and if I scroll over, it's set up and ready to go. The only thing that I'm missing from the whole year is the semester exam grades. Okay, so let me show you how I do that. So I go to assignments, and I'm going to go to grades and make sure I'm in the 6 weeks. I'm going to go to assignments, and I'm going to go to second period because here's my grades for second period. I have not put in any, here are my student names, but I have not put in any of my assignments in yet. So I'm going to go to assignments, and then I can drop this down. All right, so with, this is my introduction to cosmetology, but this is my principles of human services. Again, I've got pages, markers where I have to do some editing. I already know what I'm going to do. The last one is, as I'm following my teaks, the last one is about cosmetology, okay? So I know that I'm going to be using the old green Milady textbook for this. So I know I'm going to be doing chapter 1 for week 30th of school. I'm going to be doing chapter 1. History and career opportunities. Okay, the fun chapter is, or the fun assignment or project is eras of the industry. Okay, week 31 of school, chapter 6, anatomy and physiology. We're going to do stage makeup and body wounds. Week 32, I'm going to cover chapter 7 and 8, skin structure, growth, and nutrition, skin disorders and diseases. I'm going to cover skincare, and so forth and so on. Okay, so I already planned this out. Okay. From here, I'm going to go ahead and set up my grade book. So here, my assignment for, this is the 6, so when we were in grades, I selected the 6 weeks, okay? So for chapter 1, I know I'm going to take 3 grades. I'm going to do a theory, a lab, and a test grade, okay? So of course I have to coordinate with my calendar on this one. And so here, I'm going to do, and that's going to be chapter 1, so I'm going to do, I do all caps, chapter 1, and it's going to be theory. Sorry, I'm typing with one hand and I am typing backwards, or I mean sideways, I'm inside the computer. Alright, so this is going to be at the end, oh my goodness, and I don't have the calendar with me, but let's just say, I'm just going to do one just so I can put it in the end of the 6 weeks. Let's say it starts May 1st. This is not that's not correct date, but just to give you the example. It's going to start May 7th, okay? And the due date, even if it's like the theory, the lab or the test, I just do that week. So from the 6th to the 11th of May, I date my theory, my lab, and my test grade because I know that falls within that week. I used to do like the theories on Monday, the lab is from Wednesday to Thursday, and the test was Friday. And it's just a lot. At the end of the day, all I need to know, all everybody needs to know is that that's what I'm working on this week. Because sometimes I would do the test would be for Friday, but then we had to move the test for that Thursday. Or we didn't get a chance to do the theory on Monday because we had a client day, and so we had to move it on Tuesday. And so there's a bunch of fixing and moving and changing that I had to do. And when you have more than one class load, you got to do it twice. So it's just set for the whole week. Okay. So here it checks for understanding, and then I click add, and it adds it for me. Here at the bottom, there's this little option that if I have 2 of the same courses, it will add it for me, so I only have to add it once. So when I go ahead and do add, and let me cover this up a little bit, it's going to add that to my assignment. So when I click on assignments, here it is right here. And if I click on third period, it automatically added it as well. Okay, that way I don't have to do it twice. So I'm going to go ahead and click on grades, and I'm going to cover it because here's the students' names. But here's my assignment. Chapter 1, theory, May 7th through 11th. So here's chapter 1, okay, and that's the theory. So then I would go back into my assignments, and then I would add a new, and here I would do chapter 2, lab, pick from May 5th to May 11th, and then here I would click on formative and add it. And then I would do add a new. a new one, and then I put chapter 1 test, and then May 5th through May 11th, and then here I would check for summative. It would naturally, as long as this is clicked, you only have to do it once, you don't have to do it every time, but as long as this is selected, it'll add for both class loads that you have, both periods, add it, and it automatically will add the assignment for you. All right, so that is how I have, or how I set up my grades, my grade book for the whole school year. So that way I do not have to be doing this and going into my grade book every single week, it's done. I can always delete, I can always edit, and I can always change, but just having it done is so much easier. It took me 4 years to figure this process out, but finally my 4th year I was like, okay, this is how I'm gonna do it. And I've been doing it ever since. This is my 8th year and it works awesome. So, excuse me. So I hope that you this helps you out if you have a system, something like this that you can use at school. Again, it's a lot of the work at the front of your year, but if you do the work at the beginning and not, you don't have to do it later, because there's so much to do during the year. If this is something that you can do and set up at the beginning, take the time, lose that 1 or 2 hours of sleep now and gain all of that time later on during your school year, okay? Again, just be flexible and understanding that sometimes these things, like a hurricane, are gonna mess up your week and your assignments and your stuff. So just know that some of these things will need to be deleted, changed, or edited around. Well, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. If you have any questions, please find me on social media. On Facebook as Montserrat Ramirez Canales if you have any questions. I don't have the comments selection underneath here under the video available, simply because I don't want people, I'm just really busy and I'm really bad at responding with the comments, so people would send me messages or leave a comment asking things, and I was really bad about replying, and that's really rude. And so if I just don't allow the option, then I don't leave people hanging. So if you have any questions, follow me on or just contact me on Facebook. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions or help you out with it. I hope you like this, and you guys have a great planning year, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.